confirm it's something you pretty much have to just manage throughout, really?
Yeah, I think it was a bigger shock to me than anyone else, reading that I was a doubt for the second test. But there you go, I'm not, and feel completely fit and well. The Achilles thing, as I've said before, it's purely a management thing, and it feels that good at the moment. The reason I didn't play golf yesterday is because I didn't want to potentially put it under strain and get something inflamed or anything else. So that was the reason I didn't play, and it's not because I'm a big injury doubt. So no, I'm feeling good.
And as you say, players always managing things. This is something that goes back a bit. I mean, we all know you do your cycling almost to try and help that. This is just something that you feel you pretty much have to manage, I suppose, with a really busy schedule that you've got at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, back-to-back test matches is one thing that comes into play. You know, you've got one, full rest day. I would rather have my feet up, which is, the blatant honesty about it. And as I say, we got a rest after this test, but it's a quick turnaround. The other thing was we spent a lot of time in the field. It's pretty tense, so just to, as I say, a day off the feet was what was needed.
Have you come down yet from what happened in an amazing test match, and there was so much over the 5 days?
Yeah, it was.
The emotions now.
Yeah, it's pretty special game. I have to say, it was amazing to watch, but even better to have been a part of. Obviously great that we could get over the line in the end. Not sure I could take 4 more games like that. I don't think the heart would put up with it. But I just think all in all it was an unbelievable advert for Test cricket, for Ashes cricket, and the amount of text messages and phone calls I've got from people who've never watched cricket, not interested in cricket, so they were absolutely glued to the television and can't wait for the game to start on Thursday. And that's great. That's the Ashes and Test cricket doing its job and getting people excited about the game that we love.
Australia nearly got over the line. I mean, I know you would have expected them to be fighters anyway, but do you think this has just shown that it could be just a really tight series throughout?
Well, it was always going to be, and that's what we have prepared ourselves for. And I think that's one of the reasons we dealt with the situation so well and dealt with the game so well. We stayed calm, and that was a lot to do with our preparation and what we expected. The Australians are fighters. They're not going to lie down and die at any stage, and we had to fight equally as hard, if not harder, to get ourselves in a position to win the game and then go that one step further and actually win it. So it's going to be exactly the same this week, and we're steeling ourselves for that.
As you say, you prefer not to have such a tight finish all the time out, but when you do come through a situation like that, does it actually give the team almost more when you go back into the dressing room that you can pull through a situation like that?
Yeah, it gives you a huge amount of confidence, and it doesn't matter how many games you've played, how long you've been playing. A situation like that affects people in different ways, and you don't quite know how you're going to go until you're in that position. But the way we handled ourselves, the way I thought Cookie dealt with the pressure was phenomenal. Obviously Jimmy, the bowlers, everybody, the whole team going in at lunch. The environment was still full of belief, full of confidence, but as much as anything it was very calm, and that's what you need in those situations. So we take a huge amount from that.
Just explain a little bit, like for example, the effort that Jimmy exerted in that morning session, what that I guess takes out of you, but then to turn yourself around so quickly, I guess it's quite a difficult process. Yeah,
and that's reasons you have to manage your workload and manage what you're doing on your days off. Jimmy, to get a 10 for in an Ashes Test match or in any Test match is a great effort, but more special in that situation. And I think it's not just the physicality of bowling those 13 overs, but when you're under that extreme pressure and that stress, it feels physically harder as well. So it's not just the 13 overs, but it's in that situation. And for him to produce what he did was something pretty special.
You said Australia can be we're fighters by nature. What worries you about Australia here at Lords in particular? We've got a great record here. What concerns you about our lineup the most, do you think?
To be honest with you, I've just arrived, so I haven't given that much thought. But as I said, the worry is they're fighters, and no one's going to take a backward step in this Test series. And that in itself, you're not just going to sort of win a good toss or something, or get 500 and that's the game, which might happen other times. You know that you're fighting for 5 days, and that asks a lot of questions of yourself, mentally, physically. and that's the greatest challenge, I think.
DRS has, obviously been a big talking point from Trent Bridge. England seem to have used it better than Australia at the moment. I gather you're a key part almost of that. Do we have a look at that again process with Alistair? Could you talk us through your own approach to how you feel DRS should be used by the team?
Yeah, look, I'm the key part when we get it right, and I'm not when we get it wrong. So that's I'll firstly say that. DRS for me, I think is the way forward. I think it's a brilliant idea. As a team, we're fans of DRS. But the one thing I'll say personally is that if we're going to use DRS, all technology needs to be available for every series. And once it goes up, once the decision is reviewed, you need to make sure that we get finally the right decision. That's all anybody wants. That's what the players want. Whether it goes for you or against you, it's irrelevant. You just want, once you've taken the time out of the game, you review the decision, the right decision needs to be made at the end. So, as long as we get that right, then, I'm a big fan of DRS.
And it's the ones that you've got to be so sure about rather than the marginal ones. I mean, maybe an LBW.
And I think you've got to get that right. As players, you've got to get that right and get that in your head. DRS is not there to try and sneak a wicket that you may not have got another time. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to try and eradicate any sort of glaring errors that could potentially happen. So if you're adamant that he hasn't hit a ball, for example, that LBW, then that's when you would review it. But it's not a marginal decision that you're going to get turned over. And I think once you get that right, then that. Actually, there are very few decisions that are wrong, and there are very few times that you have to review.
Last couple.
The heat here has changed conditions somewhat. Even Trent Bridge traditionally swinging, it was dusty and low. I know you only just got here, but it looks like the Lord's outfield is perhaps a bit drier than normal. Are you expecting potentially something similar again, and reverse swing being key and cutters and things like that?
Yeah, it looks that way. I've just walked across the square now. I haven't even seen the wickets covered up, but the outfield seems dry, so it's going to be a quick outfield. We know that, so the batters will be happy there. Bowlers will be moaning again, but we'll have to wait and see. Still 2 days out. We'll have to wait and see what the wicket looks like. And we know at Lords that whatever the wicket looks like, you usually look up, not down. And there are any overheads about. It usually swings around a little bit, so I think we're paying more attention to that than the actual wicket.
Has there been any chat in the English dressing room about the divisions in the Australian squad? There's been a change of coach a few days out from the first test today. The former coach suing Cricket Australia. Have you been paying much attention to that at all?
No, none whatsoever, to be honest with you.
The Australian side having to deal with all these off-field distractions?
I would have absolutely no idea. For us, I know you're going to look at me and smile and straight back, but quite honestly, we have our own things to worry about. We've got our own, making sure that our team's right and we're playing the best we can play. We know that we haven't played to the best of our abilities in that last Test match, and that's what we want to do. We want to, hit our straps and focus, entirely on getting our skills right. And the minute you take your focus off that is when you come undone. So I think it's really important that we maintain our focus on our dressing room and making sure that's right.